Let's jump right into this explainer. Today, we're looking at a massive structural shift happening totally behind the scenes in healthcare. We're breaking down a brand new policy proposal from the Indian Health Ministry. And their goal? Dramatically speeding up the approvals for medical device manufacturing licenses. Now, if you've ever paid attention to healthcare supply chains, you already know it. The distance between a brilliant medical invention and an actual patient's bedside, it's usually measured in mountains of paperwork, literally just mountains of it. So today, we're going to unpack exactly how this proposal plans to bulldoze those mountains, completely change the game for manufacturers, and ultimately transform patient care.
So I want you to think about this for a second. Why do life-saving devices wait? I mean, we're living in an era of wild technological advancement, right? We've got AI, advanced robotics, crazy new materials. But what happens when a totally critical piece of health tech, like, say, a revolutionary new diagnostic kit, is fully developed, ready to go, but it's just stuck waiting for a bureaucratic stamp of approval? Well, it just sits in a warehouse. And honestly, it doesn't matter how innovative a device is if it literally isn't legally allowed to reach the market. This wait isn't just an annoying inconvenience for some corporation. It's an actual delay in vital treatments and diagnoses for everyday people.
Okay, let's dive into the agenda for today. First, 1, the medical device bottleneck. Then, 2, the accelerated proposal. Followed by 3, how approvals will change. 4, boosting domestic manufacturing. And finally, 5, better healthcare access. Section 1, the medical device bottleneck, current friction. To really appreciate the solution here, we gotta understand the friction that's dragging down the system right now. For years, MedTech manufacturers have been stuck in this weird environment where the speed of innovation is moving incredibly fast, but the speed of regulation, not so much. Think of the current licensing process like a massive, terrible traffic jam on a vital highway. You've got dozens of lanes of brilliant innovators and engineers, all forced to merge into one single slow-moving toll booth. This regulatory red tape creates severe friction. Every single form, every multi-tiered review, it all acts like a brake on the whole system. You'll literally have a finished, life-saving prototype just collecting dust for upwards of 18 months, just waiting for a signature. For entrepreneurs, that means burning capital and totally stalling their momentum. They're spending their time navigating a compliance maze instead of actually iterating on their designs. And while manufacturing always has its challenges, it really all boils down to this one major hurdle: sluggish regulatory approvals. This single choke point slows the entire industry down. It creates a massive chilling effect on investment, too. I mean, investors are obviously wary of funding something that might spend 2 years trapped in a bureaucratic holding pattern. And the ultimate consequence of all that? It delays patient care. When the system is sluggish, getting that next-generation pacemaker or that affordable dialysis machine is just pushed further and further into the future. Section 2, the accelerated proposal, fast-tracking approvals.
So the Indian Health Ministry realized that if you want to build a robust, modern healthcare system, your regulations have to move at the speed of modern medicine. Now, what's really interesting about this accelerated licensing framework is just how targeted the solution actually is. It's essentially a proposed policy mechanism that's specifically designed to fast-track these manufacturing approvals. Instead of forcing every single device through the exact same exhausting process, this framework wants to create a bureaucratic express lane. It's basically acknowledging that, yes, obviously safety and efficacy are totally non-negotiable, but the administrative process you use to verify them, it doesn't inherently have to be slow and redundant.
Section 3, how approvals will change, mechanics of the policy. So, what does this actually look like in the real world? Let's move into the mechanics of the policy and see the practical differences for the industry. If you put the two approaches side by side, it is a night and day difference. The old system is that classic, sluggish, multi-tiered, bureaucratic traffic jam we just talked about. Applications bouncing between departments, sequential sign-offs creating this awful domino effect on the timeline. Honestly, finding the right rubber stamp felt like a quest in a fantasy novel. But the new proposal envisions a streamlined, accelerated express lane. We're talking parallel processing, digital-first submissions in a totally unified approach that cuts right through that old friction. It's shifting from an adversarial regulatory vibe to a much more collaborative one, where the actual goal is safe, rapid deployment. Let's see how this builds out into a super efficient pipeline. Step 1, submission of the application. But it's streamlined, cutting out the redundant paperwork. Step 2, an expedited regulatory review, meaning dedicated teams whose whole job is clearing the queue without sacrificing safety, probably using smarter, risk-based criteria. And Step 3, faster market entry for devices. By compressing the timeline back in Step 2, Step 3 arrives months or maybe even years earlier than it used to. Total game changer.
Section 4. Boosting domestic manufacturing. Macroeconomic impact.
All right, let's zoom out for a second. Beyond just individual companies getting their licenses faster, what is the macro impact here? This touches on a huge priority for the economy. Look at the current sourcing data. Right now, there is a heavy 80% reliance on medical imports versus just 20% domestic production capabilities. That's a huge imbalance, and it leaves the healthcare system super vulnerable to global supply chain shocks. So, by making it easier and faster to get a manufacturing license, the health ministry is effectively rolling out the red carpet for domestic production. It really incentivizes local companies to build their factories, hire local talent, and make these critical devices right at home, strategically chipping away at that massive import reliance.
And the economic ripple effects here are absolutely profound. First off, it breaks industry bottlenecks. Capital and resources can actually flow freely instead of just sitting idle waiting on paperwork. Second, it empowers MedTech entrepreneurs. When you lower the bureaucratic barrier to entry, it encourages way more startups to jump in because they know they actually have a viable, realistic path to the market. And third, it strengthens the whole domestic healthcare infrastructure. Because honestly, a country that can rapidly manufacture its own medical devices is just way more resilient when public health crises hit.
Section 5. Better healthcare access, the ultimate beneficiary.
Ultimately, though, an explainer on licensing and manufacturing isn't just about the economics or factory floors. We have to connect all this back to the ultimate beneficiary, the everyday patient. This is fundamentally about better healthcare access. It's super easy to look at a manufacturing license as just some boring piece of administrative paper, but we have to reframe that. That license is literally the gateway for a new, affordable MRI machine or a vital diagnostic kit to actually reach your local hospital. When a manufacturer gets their license accelerated by 6 months, that means hospitals get the equipment 6 months earlier. It means doctors get better tools sooner. It means waiting lists for scans or treatments can actually be shortened.
So the crucial point here really boils down to this: breaking bottlenecks to get critical health technology to patients faster. That quote perfectly captures the true impact of the health ministry's proposal. By removing all that friction at the very top of the manufacturing funnel, those benefits flow all the way down, right to the patient's bedside. It is a fantastic example of how optimizing a totally behind-the-scenes administrative process can have a profound, life-saving impact on the actual front lines of healthcare. As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a thought to chew on. How will this new express lane actually shape the future of local medtech innovation? I mean, if innovators know that their path to the market is clear and fast, what kind of bold, crazy new ideas will they go after next? You'll definitely want to keep a close eye on the medical device sector in the coming years, because the speed of innovation is about to get a massive upgrade. Thanks for tuning into this explainer, and we'll catch you next time.